Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SB Reacts where today we have ourselves a track from an act named L.O.U and Frannie L titled The Call with production by Big O. And if we switch over to here we have ourselves a track on the screen here on YouTube. I should note that apparently L.O.U stands for Let's Obliterate the Universe, which is a genuinely, unique name. I actually genuinely dig that. And we're going to be watching the video, we're going to listen through it from start till finish. And we're going to hear what we think. Just also letting you know that we're going to be giving the song an overall score out of 10 based on various musical criteria, but for now, let's go, let's do it. Great combination of elements here so far.
Can anybody hear my call? Are you waiting for the sound of my fall? Sundown, we howl in the night, no shame. Desires deeper than fame. Bleed like the ink that we paint with, true like the words in our verses. Can you hear me as I call? Hear the call,
The mystery of Mr. Yemis is high value. Seen by the way before us, there's no blemish. Taking spiritual handshakes is written by the universe's musical verses, debating purpose. I don't fold on convos, I groove with it. Docile, L.O.U got the moves with it. Blowing kisses to the love of my life, the microphone. Untimely lyrics that I might have shown back then, but I've grown. All the places creatively that I've flown towards, developed by the ink awards. Self-satisfaction, grab music notes just to blow them. That defines a true spitter. Divine Yemis problem that can't be touched was a Miller. Moon dances, that defines platoon stances. Listen good enough, you can hear the heartbeat of my rhymes. Hit my ad-libs crying at
Can
times.
anybody hear my call?
Nice,
Are you
nice
waiting
transfer.
for the sound of my fall? Sundown, we howl in the night, no shame. Desires deeper than fame. Bleed like the ink that we paint with, true like the words in our verses. Can you hear me as I call? Hear the call.
Yo, flip the coin on society's thoughts. Yesterday, your tomorrows. Don't follow the words of a fool. You got to play the role of a cool man. We don't snap at them, we snap fingers to the rhythm of our own shit. And they receive it, play it, repeat it. That's how you feed it. The soul and the flesh. My lyrics was fresh as large on the street gaze. Southside Jamaica, Queens relays. I mean, what you see is what you learn. But for sure, I earned everything that I got in life. Wasn't impressed by street curb knowledge, but I got it. L.O.U's rap style is honest. My rhyme books penetrate concrete. So technically, the non-secular's my rhyme feats. As I look towards how am I standing where I'm at right now, the answer lies in the drumsticks and piano sounds.
Are you waiting for the sound of my fall? Sundown, we howl in the night, no shame. Desires deeper than fame. Bleed like the ink that we paint with, true like the words in our verses. Can you hear me as I call? Hear the call.
Those strings are phenomenal,
Anybody hear
man.
my call? Are you waiting for the sound of my fall? Sundown, we howl in the night, no shame. Desires deeper than fame. Bleed like the ink that we paint with, true like the words in our verses. Can you hear me as I call? Hear the call.
And I like the back melody vocals as well as the occasional hand drums with a bit of air candy there. Bit of brass to sign us off. Yeah, that was a really interesting track. Anything at the end? No, that's cool. We're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. And so welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named L.O.U or L.O.U with Frannie L, titled The Call with production again from Big O. In this track, we're going to be providing an overall song analysis of everything from vocals and lyrics through to production, as well as any applicable constructive critique, and then finally my general thoughts from a listener's perspective. I should also note that I gave this track an overall score of 8 out of 10 across the board. Very, very happy with this. There were no sort of weak components here the fundamentals would adhere to, and there was some really fancy, awesome stuff to appreciate as well. Before I go any further, what do we think this track is about? I think effectively the song, in the chorus sections of the hooks, with Frannie, as I understand it, discussing, can you hear my call? The melodies there are compelling. We're very sort of like fragrant with our note choices there, and we navigate the surrounding elements within the composition really neatly. But basically we're asking, can you hear our call? Will you be by the phone, etc.? Will you be present for that? And I think what happens in the verses with L.O.U or L.O.U is that they're then sort of like elaborating on that, how that kind of rhyme book penetrates concrete and all the other sort of fun bits of wordplay there. Like, you could listen to any specific, or most of the specific sentences within this, track within any of the verse stanzas and appreciate kind of how witty a lot of it is. But it's also well balanced in terms of the overall mood and intent of it. It's not too over the top. I think that it's kind of clever to have someone in the verses where there is more context to be had, usually providing more reason to believe what is being heard in the choruses, or to sort of like want to roll more with hearing that. Ultimately, I feel like those are well connected. We've got great chemistry between, again, those verse and chorus sections with the functions between the different vocalists. So yeah, Frannie has great sort of vocal technique, very comfortable in the head chest voice there. They've got a sort of distinct melody or sort of sequence that they're working with there, that they kind of iterate on through the track in their various parts. And then I like how personable L.O.U is with the way they deliver the lines on the microphone there. They're clearly experienced, very comfortable communicating and expressing themselves. It's a very confident performance. There's a range of different rhythms and cadences that are put forward. It reminds me of a lot of kind of rap and hip hop from the 90s, to be honest. There's this kind of understated swagger to it. I think a lot of that kind of feeling is the background sort of arrangement with like the backing vocals of like the choir, lady vocals, etc., as well as a lot of the other sort of instruments from like the 70s and 80s, like the string sections, etc. But ultimately, the words came through cleanly, very sort of clear with that. The communication was precise. And I also like the way that we transferred between sections, how the rapping would continue into like the chorus or the hook line, to sort of have them, again, show awareness of each other and make them less predictable on the input. I just feel like if it was very kind of stop-started, like a clear distinction between when we finished the verse and started the chorus, it might just sound a little bit sort of robotic there. So I'm glad that it seemed kind of, like you could imagine a live performance being done like that. But ultimately, we had rapping and we had clean vocals there, and they fulfilled the purposes neatly, and they decorated this track really neatly, because it was around 3.5 minutes, and it's right within that 2 to 4 minute sweet spot, where if it's less than 2 minutes, you might be missing some important context or development in order to really fully flesh out a story or an actual track itself with its main motif or instrumental parts. Or if it's over 4 minutes, in contrast, you might be overplaying certain parts that have been put into there. Here I feel like we had enough range with all the different individual instruments and bits of ear candy to be able to appreciate what was going on and not lose interest. It wasn't that the story continued to develop as we listened through it and that we enjoyed listening to, again, those vocal elements, but it's also that there are a lot of fun textures and tones and timbres. I like that kind of melodic percussion there that I'm not quite sure what that is, but I like the tone of it. It's really pretty sounding there. And it's an extended chord as well, which adds a bit of emotional sophistication to it. And it oscillates or rotates through those. There are some sort of hi-hat shimmers there, some 8th and 16th note grooves, as well as the hand drums coming in just occasionally, just enough to kind of catch you off guard when they come in. You're like, oh wait, that was there. And then they take it away. They don't overstay their welcome. And I like that there are on-beat and syncopated accents with those hi-hat and other sort of main instruments there. There's a great rhythmic unison and awareness there, chemistry between the melodic and rhythmic elements. And we have the brass come in as well as the bass and the full drum kit around that chorus part in like the 20-second, 25-second mark there. The track just sounds huge there. The bass is robust and the low end fills in that space within the frequency spectrum of both a compositional and production perspective. There are some kind of kind of like synth effects as well there that kind of flutter there and are just a nice differentiator, a way of segmenting that sort of loop or beat in half there to show the A and B side of it. And those kind of swells of the strings that we have at the end of those iterations of that chorus are just so bright. They're so pretty that it's a kind of sounds like a celebration of the call of this. There are lots of different sounds which sound like they're trying to grab your attention, and they come through often one at a time and have presence underneath the sung or sort of rapped parts there. And it's kind of clever that we're able to integrate them like that without it being too overwhelming. And it's such an active instrumental backing even in those verse sections there. Often what people will do is they'll minimize the amount of instruments in certain sections there to kind of reduce the intensity there. But because it's so colorful and there is that variation of how things are represented or implemented, it never becomes stale. You do have moments where, like the drums, for example, will back out a little bit and things kind of float a little bit, but you do get back to, again, those main sort of 8th, 16th, and quarter note grooves, with an 8th note pattern kind of dominant throughout, adding a nice sense of push to it. And, you know, like L.O.U and Frannie L, when they sing in time, as I mentioned, with those rhythmic elements, and you know, they pay attention to when things accent though. So if there's a kind of an offbeat, like emphasis, it just, the music stops from working, boom, 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 dun, 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 dun. It's great sense of flow to it. If it had been the exact same dun, 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 you know, like the whole entire time, even with sub 16ths, it just might have been a little bit, like they're not taking the listener's attention for granted. To be fair, there is less kind of busyness going on, I think, with some of the strings in those verse parts there, which makes a lot of sense there. You have the upper elements kind of register alongside the clean vocals to add further emphasis on the harmonies there. It allows more sort of a rhythmic focus with those verses, with the rapped components. But that's not a constant either. Like, it's just, we don't sleep on it. And again, I love the choice of range of those lady backing vocals from just sort of an even a layering composition perspective, because they're in a higher range than L.O.U and Frannie. We're really filling out the frequency spectrum. And the beauty of it is that I think it's just one main line, one main sort of bass line or idea with the main sort of theme the entire time. It's just, we have so much from the get-go that I think you spend half of the time hearing the story or hearing out the story, and the other half figuring out how you feel about the track outside of the way that you nod your head along, because it's got an appreciable sense of rhythm and sort of like purpose to it. But by the end of it, as it fades out, you understand it and you feel like you've had a fulfilling experience. And it's just the intricate certain parts, like the Hammond, or like the kind of, this is all like it just kind of bounces around there. It finds little ways to call and respond with other parts there to decorate the existing triads and extensions within the progressions, with individual notes there to make it, again, more sophisticated and kind of classy sounding. I'm actually adding this part after I finished the review there, but I was listening back to the track in different parts, and I could hear like little guitars and other elements there, bits of ear candy there. And I feel like there's like a fine art in making a track that gives you enough, whilst not leading you by the nose. That the track provides the fundamentals, the most important parts, whilst inviting you to kind of listen through it again to kind of get the little nuances. So I appreciate that. I think overall it's like a major feel, but it's so low-key. It's so avoidant of trying to seem happy, if that makes sense at all. It's so focused, I think, on the extended jazzy intonations there that I just feel like if, again, it would have been a bit too on the nose if you'd stuck with major or minor chords throughout the themes. But I think it's the intricacy, again, of even some of the 6th or 9ths or other ideas or even susses that you might have with the addition of those additional notes that make it seem kind of larger than life. And I don't want to seem like I'm glazing profusely. It's just simply difficult to be able to get all those bits in there in a way that makes sense musically. I can't imagine adding any more to it. I feel like they've got just the right amount in there in terms of the layers, and the vocals are the icing on the cake. Not out of place. So yeah, I think the theme, especially considering, you know, how positively they want you to view hearing that call, makes a lot of sense there. They're not overplaying it or overselling it, but you're welcome to sit there and hear them out. The studio recording, mixing and mastering is really well handled as well. I like the glow, the function, the way the vocals are presented with the EQing, compression, etc. They're very present within the stereo field. The backing, both in the rapping and sort of sung parts, the backing vocals kind of spread on the side a little bit are nicely filtered there. And I think, again, playing a note as opposed to trying to be too sort of like eloquent with that was smart. The individual instrumental components, with the exception of maybe the drums and the bass, which is sort of center oriented with sort of some of the cymbal sort of hits kind of moving around a little bit, are mostly spread around stereo field, so that things bounce around between the left and right sides, and you're constantly enveloped with both symmetrical and asymmetrical elements of the piece. It's just a very effective way of retaining interest there to kind of like make it, again, seem like a celebration by how things are kind of like fireworks. There's dynamic range. It's nice and loud with a bit of pumping to be fit, bus compression limiting is handled. And again, the bass, the dry drums, the brass, the keys, the strings, etc. are nicely niche, so there's no weird resonant frequencies. And I just think the fade out at the end of the track is very classy volume-wise. You know, it's a very elegant outing. No applicable constructive critique. I think from a general listener's perspective, it's just nice to hear really clear, intelligent songwriting and production. While I am like open and wondering what we're gonna do next, I feel like this is probably one of the most believable tracks like this that I've heard from people that I've reviewed, primarily because, again, they're not overplaying what they're discussing. They're not overreaching. Just how things are connected and presented is very authentic. And I just felt like I was in safe hands the other time. It's just what happens when you have people who know what they're doing at the helm there and you've got a good team. You know, it's a great collaboration. Thank you for watching my review of this track from Axe, L.O.U, as well as Frannie L, titled The Call, with production by Big O. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show us some love via the various social medias and YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever. Thought of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next SB Reacts. Spiderhands out.